Hi, and welcome back to
hashtag
us.
We were raped.
We were, okay.
Hashtag us too.
We're in video now. We're working on it. We're doing so
I'm
good.
Jay Elliott.
Oh yeah, I'm Espi Rivdanera. And this is our podcast.
Yes, ma'am. So, how you doing?
Good. I have a sneeze. We're very discombobulated. What do you want to talk about, Jay?
Well, last time we talked about parents and God. What's been on your mind?
I feel like it always comes down to this with me and Jay. We're always talking about the balance of things.
Mm-hmm.
And I've just noticed that I was telling Jay I'm surprised how much my energy is up recently.
That's good.
Because I'd been going through a rough time. And maybe the past 4 days? I don't know. I've been going through the process of just making myself work out, eat right, like take care of myself. I feel like it sounds so simple, but it does make such a huge difference. And now I feel like it's coming back. I think I've been thinking of workouts differently now, where I'm like, if I put that energy into this, it's going to come back to me later. Like, I feel more energized right now. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Wow. Quite the opposite. I mean, I have been, since I started transitioning, my energy has definitely tanked a little bit, which is normal, but this week I tried having like protein shakes, which I thought were like a good source of extra nutrition because I can only eat so much, and if I can just like in between meals drink a liquid extra meal, like I figured that was a good idea. But then I just like end up skipping food and just drinking these shakes, and they make me really tired.
I don't know how good those always are for you. Sometimes I have like a protein bar and I feel like crap. Or I notice too, I can't poop as well. I'm not on, anytime I've had, it's just like comes out weird and it's like clay.
Well, don't they like have lactose in it?
Oh, yeah. I also think though, if you're not, no offense, your energy's low, but I think if you're not working out, it's not like gonna have the same effect. Like, I think it'll energize someone that is like a gym rat, but you're not. Right. Exactly.
Well, I don't drink like it's not like creatine. Is that what creatinine?
Yeah, the creatine stuff.
It's like for people who are like sick and old. It's
is it like
Ensure?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm drinking, but then I don't know what it is. It just makes me really tired. Like it's actually insane how tired it makes me, and I don't know why.
Maybe you need to eat more real food?
I don't think so.
I think that's the answer.
Maybe, but I don't know. I'm just trying to gain weight because I'm trying to get a badonkadonk. And it's not working.
I had lost weight and now I'm putting... Oh my god, Gia!
Did Gia knock that over?
Gia knocked over. I got another tripod because I thought we were going to record. Gia. My rabbit is a terrorist. So as you guys can see, we have video now. I thought I was going to do 2 cameras. Maybe we will next week. We were kind of in a time crunch, and Gia just knocked over this whole ass tripod because she's crazy.
She's a bad bitch.
She's a bad bitch. She's always getting in trouble, but I love her. She's also made me incredibly soft. I'm just a pussy now.
Well, that's okay. It is a lot of vaginal energy here.
There's 3 girls here. Okay, so there's another rabbit staying with me. Belle. She's a white bunny. She's just being babysat because her owner went away for Christmas. Gia, me. So it's a lot of...
I do not have a vagina, but I have vaginal energy.
You have, yeah. Yes, you do. Jay does have vaginal energy.
Oh, God. I talked to Espi about this. Like, the whole, like, transgender theory, it doesn't... I'm trans and I don't get it. Like, I talk to my friends about this and it's just kind of like, yeah, it's a gray area because so I'm feminine, but I'm also always gonna be a male because I was born.
Yeah, but that's not true.
I was born male physically, and then like, so it's like what's going on? I don't know.
You're not a good spokesperson for your people.
No, I'm not, but at least I'm trying to be honest. I think like a lot of people are claiming crazy stuff and they get like mad, and I get it. Like, it's a hard life, you know, people don't understand you, they're always against you, you have to defend yourself. But then you think about, what am I saying? And it doesn't really make sense. Like, I'm trying to figure out like how I think about it, so if I say it to someone, then they can get it. But if I just say I'm trans, it doesn't mean anything inherently.
Like your joke about your pussy having a soul, or your soul having a pussy.
Yeah, because people are like, I'm a girl on the inside, and then the joke is like, does that mean my soul has a pussy? It doesn't make sense.
I think it does. I don't know how to describe it either, so me and Jay are trying to find the words, because I was telling her earlier, I was like, well, you should talk about that more so you can try and figure out what it is, because it's a very real thing.
If anyone knows, call it.
You can DM us. This is how I feel. I mean, I personally just don't care how anyone lives their life as long as they're not like hurting someone, so I don't see what the big deal is. I also know Jay very well, and I feel like I've mentioned this on the podcast before, but I am so protective of my like body and space. And with men, like, I have really close guy friends that I would never like change in front of,
because that's a boundary.
Because that's we respect each other, so it's like I think like the last episode I was talking a lot about respect, and I'm like, if I'm friends with a dude, I respect him, so I'm like, I'm not gonna, there's a boundary there, so it's like, and you keep that, both people keep that because you care for the other person.
And that's how you sustain a healthy relationship, is to have healthy boundaries.
Right. Because I think so many people are like, cross boundaries all the time. I sound so conservative. I'm like, no, it's this way. But I think it's important, especially if you respect someone and you want a certain kind of relationship to last.
Yeah. It's true.
But with you, I just treat you as a girl because that's how you feel to me, where it's like, oh, Jay's a lady, so I have no problem just like talking. Like if one of my guy friends is over and we have to leave and I'm like, I gotta change really quick, I'm like, I go to the bathroom, close the door, change, and then even if I'm showering or something, like I will not come out in my towel. I'm just like, I'm fully clothed, in and out. But then with Jay, I'm like, whatever, because Jay's a girl, so I don't know the words because, like Jay said, it's like hard to say, but Jay just feels like a lady. But I also talk to her like a lady. Like, I love my guy friends so much, and they've always like been there for me. And we have like such loyal friends.
Yeah.
That when I'm down, I go over to their house, or they call me or check in or whatever, and like I have a lot of like really dear guy friends. And they're all dumb. No, they're not dumb. They're like emotionally retarded. No, I'm just kidding. They're not. Some of them are really good at advice, but like I feel like I talk to a lady, or like I talk to you and I feel better. I'm like, oh, she gets it, kind of thing. Like when I talk to women, they are more emotionally aware of what's going on.
It's a different vibe. I don't know, man. I'd like to think of things as like concrete. I mean, like I'm very like, I was always like into science, like a big nerd, and then now I'm like, I have feelings that don't make sense. So I don't really know. I do know that I take hormones and that these have changed my body into more of the female side, and that I feel different because of it. So I don't know what that is either, but it's like, I don't think being, people will tell me that I'm always going to be a man, but I don't feel like it now. I've been a man and I feel different. So I don't know. I think I'm in between.
Well, I don't understand why people argue so much. They're like, trans women are women, and then it's like, okay, there are some things that are different, like you're never gonna have a period,
right,
or be capable of like having a baby, which
right.
is fine. I don't really understand why. I just haven't heard anyone argue like, why can't this just be a separate gender?
I think sometimes trans people are like, I'm third gender or I'm two-spirited or whatever. I don't know what that means.
I don't either.
I think it's bullshit, but maybe they're right. I just, I think of it as kind of like a third option because that's what it feels like. I don't know.
Because I think it's hard to make the argument like, I mean, you feel like a lady in my mind, of course, but it's like,
biologically, no.
there are differences, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like hard because sometimes people they'll try and argue and be like, I am a woman, and it's like,
yes and no.
Yeah.
It's not easy to say that, and they act like it is.
But I just think no one wants to have the conversation about it.
No, because there's a lot of, well, people want to rant about it. That's what they want to do. I think it's because it's so controversial. That's all they do. They don't really want to talk about, like, actually consider other things.
This might be fun if we ask them, do you guys have questions? Maybe people will have questions that we can talk about.
Yeah, that would be interesting if, like, answering stuff.
Yeah.
If you guys are listening.
We're so shy. We're like, hello.
If you have any questions, I would love to know, like, if you're curious about trans stuff. Disclaimer, I've only been trans for like 9 months. So I can't speak to like someone who's been transitioning for years.
But I also think it's good because it might help us figure stuff out too.
Yeah. And it might teach people something.
Yeah. Because we don't know everything. And I don't know what it's like at all because I'm not going through it.
Right. Yeah. I was telling Espi, there's like online, a lot of the comments on trans like videos, like if they're saying what you were saying, where they're like, I'm a woman, you know, the comments are, aside from men who are like, you're always going to be, like, the men obviously are very like transphobic because they're like, you look pretty, but you're not, like, they're sexually confused, I guess. But
I think there's like a lot of homophobia.
Yeah. But for women, I would say, get offended when trans women are like, I'm a woman, because they're like, you don't know what it's like to be born female and have to grow up with all the burden of people looking at you as a girl as you grow up, and all, like, what that means and all the expectations that come with that. You don't know what it is to get your period, whether or not you want to, every month, and then have to deal with that and all of the burdens that come with being a biological woman. And I think that's fair. Like,
yeah, but there's no reason to be so angry about that
people get
either.
Yeah, they get so offended. They're like, don't ever put me in the same box as you. And I'm like, I don't know, like, if you are offended, I don't want to offend anyone, but also I get offended when they're acting like their life is harder, because I'm like, people literally want to kill trans people pretty much everywhere in the world. And in this country, it's only recently been safe-ish for trans people. So, like, you're acting like it's so much harder to be a woman. Like, most trans people just kill themselves. I think that the suicide, I think mortality rate is like, the life expectancy for a trans person is like almost less, it's like half the regular one, because there's just so little support in society, and you can't be alone as a person. Life is hard enough. So I don't know. I'm just like, yeah, I could never be a biological woman, but you could never be a trans woman.
But I also don't understand why. I get very frustrated with people when they experience pain and then they're angry at you. And I'm like, I don't know your pain firsthand, but I know what it's like to be in pain, or I know, like, I can relate to, because now you do see, and it's so helpful. Your point of view is extremely helpful because you were a man and you saw how people treated you, and then now you're a woman and you're learning all these new things, and you see, like, you feel how I feel, where if I'm taking the train late at night, I'm scared.
It's scary.
There's a lot of eyes on you.
Yep.
And I'm like, that's nice that we can relate like that. I wish people would try to, like, relate to each other more. I also think, yeah, you haven't gone through some of the stuff. When I was younger, I went through some traumatic things just because I was a woman. But you also went through your own trauma of, like, I have no idea what it's like to hide myself that much.
I find when we really talk about it and you talk about stuff you've been through, it's, like, so similar when it boils down. Like, you felt like as a girl, the expectations on you didn't fit your personality all the time. And it wasn't fair because you were being put in a box. And then that's literally how I felt a lot of the time, too.
That's why there's more similarities, especially with, like, women and trans women, where I know other women feel this way, but I'm like, I get so frustrated as a Hispanic woman. People expect you to be really sexy and cute and, like,
sassy.
And, yeah, sassy and, like, I don't know, expect my voice to not be like this. But there are all these expectations, and I'm like, that's not even my first thought. Like, I don't go through my life thinking about really any of those things.
Yeah.
I try to, like, look decent, but I'm not
Sofia
concerned
Vergara.
with that. Yeah, I'm not, and I don't want to be. And I think people expect that initially when they see me, especially if they don't hear me talking or anything. And it's so frustrating. But
also, guys, if you're listening or watching,
fuck you. No, no, sorry.
I just wanted to say, like, as someone who is now experiencing, you know, because when I was a guy, I didn't understand what women were talking about when they talked about being afraid, having to, like, carry weapons and stuff at night, and how, like, scary it is. I would always be, like, respectful and be like, yeah, that's true, but I never really understood it. And I was like, back in the back of my mind, I kind of wondered, like, if it was being exaggerated, just because I didn't know what it felt like at all. And then now, experiencing it, it feels like a haunted house, like where you're walking and the paintings are all watching you. That's how it feels like to be a girl walking down the street, because all the eyes are watching. And it's creepy because you're just trying to walk. You're not thinking that
you don't want to be bothered.
Yeah.
It's so exhausting, and I get so angry. People, I think, wonder why I'm so angry a lot of the time out, and it's like, I have guys coming up to me, like, all the time.
They
like,
just come up.
Creepy, scary. It's not, like, a positive thing. It's just creepy, and it's like you have crazy people coming up to you, and you're like, I'm just trying to go to work. Like, I don't want to talk to you. I want to be left alone.
Like, it's crazy because guys are like, oh, this is normal. But, like, I don't know how to explain. I'm literally not trying to talk to you or anyone. I'm literally just walking. I'm thinking my own thoughts. I want to be left alone. I'm not inviting anything. It's literally minding my business, and guys are coming out to talk, and I'm like, leave me alone. Like, as a guy,
or you don't even know what, I mean, you could get raped, or that's where my mind always goes.
Yeah.
Especially at night, if you're alone, that's the only time I don't speak up, because I'm scared. I'm like, well, if I yell at this dude and he's crazy, he's could just kill me.
Yep.
So
especially, and then I'm scared of that too, because I'm like, if they hear my voice and they're like, oh, you're a trans and you tricked me,
then they could kill you too.
Then they get pissed. Yeah. And I'm just like, it's scary.
So you
carry weapons
and prayers and stick with your dude friends.
And
that's
dress like a man.
I think that's why too it's harder. Like, I try to go out as much as possible for comedy, and I'm not deterred by. I refuse to like live out of fear.
Right.
But I think that's why a lot of like female comics. I have to think that's why there's not as many as successful female comedians, because it's like, why would I want to go out so late?
And also why I think a lot of ladies try to subdue how they dress and stuff. Because, like, I was wearing a dress at one point, and then guys will just, like, be so scary. They come up to you and start, like, cussing in your face that you're a bitch if you don't pay attention to them. And I'm like, I'm just standing on the subway platform. This is exactly where I don't want to be talked to.
It's crazy, like, that I told Jay last night, I'm on the subway platform, this, like, homeless crazy guy is like, miss, like, following me, and I'm like, no. And he's like, you fucking bitch, you fucking whore.
Yeah.
I'm like,
it's
I just want to go home.
So intense. As a guy, never. Guys don't even look at people. Don't even look at you. People don't talk to you. People leave you the fuck alone.
And it's different too. Guys don't get it, because if I have a guy with me, dudes don't come up to me because they don't want to be bothered.
They're like, oh, I have respect for the man.
That's why I've always disliked when people will be like, they'll tell females like, oh, if some guy's bothering you, say you have a boyfriend. I'm like, I don't do that anymore. I don't care. You can respect me. I'm telling you no. You're going to listen to me. I'm not trying to, I hate that shit so much. I also got very frustrated. I mean, I've also dated a lot of trash, but a lot of my ex-boyfriends, I like bring the trash can out. I'm like, here's example A. They weren't very empathetic guys, so I would like tell them this, and they literally thought I was exagerating.
Yeah.
Or like, it was just, I was like, dude, I'm not.
It happens all the
lying.
time. Yeah. Because they've never had that happen to them, where people are just zeroing in on you and focusing, and it's creepy big guys who want something from you, and you're like, dude, leave me alone.
Not only do they want something from you, they want to like fuck you, and you're like, that's when you see that in someone's eyes. Like, I don't think guys get it, but it's like this someone who's like scary, intimidating, and they're like, they want to like
the closest thing,
and you're like, oh, leave me alone.
The closest thing is a gay guy, and guys act so weird when it gets gay.
Well, that's how it feels.
Yeah, because they're men and they're gross and predatory, and you're finally getting a taste of it when it's a gay dude, and you can't handle it.
I just want a bunch of gay guys to go out and be creepy, because I'm like, let them feel.
Yeah.
No, I don't like that feeling. I don't want other people to feel that way, but I just feel like that's why it is important when everyone's like, believe women, because sometimes, I mean, I've had my own boyfriends be like, are you exaggerating me? And I'm like, okay, first of all, why are you dating me if you think I would exaggerate about something like that? That's on you to date someone that you would think be lying about something like that. That's crazy. And like, second of all, like, you should just believe me when I'm...
The sexual violence is crazy too. Like, I feel like gay guys are really respectful. They're always like about consent and safety and stuff. And as soon as I started like wearing a wig and going out as a girl, I would like hook up with guys, and they just like don't care if I'm blacked out. They'll still like hook up with you. They don't care about the consent part. They're
no,
like,
they don't.
This is how it goes. I'm like, what?
Oh.
I didn't realize I had to protect myself like that.
You have to. When I was drinking, I mean, I don't think I had sex with anybody, but I was like blacked out a lot, and then sometimes I would come to and just be in a situation where I was like, I did not want to be around this person or whatever, and I would have to like detangle, and it was scary because I was like, you know, I don't really remember what happened, and I was like, I don't think I gave any kind of consent here, but
yeah, you don't know.
That's why I'm so happy I don't drink too, apart from like being an alcoholic, but
it does make things a lot more risky. I mean, I was drinking a lot at an office party recently, and I tried to make out with one of my coworkers. And he turned me down gracefully, which is, you know, a nice and a good that he didn't let it go further, because that would have been even more awkward.
Oh my God.
Because
Jay.
I don't want anything with this dude. And also we're coworkers. Like, thank God he said no, but that's what happens. I'm kind of glad that it happened because I wanted that like classic office party embarrassing moment, and I got it.
Oh my god.
In the least damaging possible way. And
I kissed a lot of guys I didn't want to, for sure. I was like, oh.
I apologized for it, and then he was like super cool about it too.
Yeah.
So it was fine. My face was really red though.
It's so funny. Hello, Belle. There's another bunny here. Hi. She's a little more shy than Gia. Yeah, that's why though I think it's like helpful. Some comic wrote a joke about having like trans girlfriends, and like if a guy's bothering them, like let your trans girl like take care of them, like beat them up. Like I don't get why it's like we should have more allies in the matter. Like it just is frustrating when especially if you're a race that is being like prejudiced against. I hate when they're like so anti-trans as well, where it's like, dude, you're like a Hispanic person and you're like, you go through your own difficulties, you should be a little more open.
Yeah, it's like people don't translate the empathy. They're like, I want the most, and then when I can, I'm going to be prejudiced against everyone else.
I think people only care about what affects them.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's what people don't care about cancer until a loved one
get it or
gets it. Or, yeah, it's like people just
and then
don't
they're
really
like,
care.
whoa, this is fucked up. Like, you didn't care.
I mean, it's hard. You can't care about everything like that so intensely because then you would...
The world is such a dark... you would just kill yourself.
Yeah, the world is horrible.
The world is so horrible.
But, I mean, I think if something is going on, like, I don't know.
People go out of... And that's what pissed me off about seeing some of these videos about people, like, reacting to certain, like, trans influencers and stuff. Like, there's this guy, Dylan Mulvaney or something. Or girl. Oops. This
God,
person...
Jay!
Dylan Mulvaney, who just transitioned, like, within the last year, I think. Maybe we're at the same point, almost a year. I don't know. I haven't been following. But this person is very, like, outspoken and documenting their transition process, which I think is cute. They're very, like, bubbly. Excited. But they are also propagating certain stereotypes about women. And it's questionable that they're like, oh, it's my... I mean, I, as a comedian, understand if you're going to say, oh, it's my first day of hormones and I've already, like, spent too much on shoes. Like, that's kind of what she was saying. And I'm like, I mean, haha, I get it. It's, like, supposed to be a joke, but women were getting offended.
I mean, I think also, not to be mean, she was a little weird as a person.
Yeah.
So this person that was transitioning was a little strange, and people were, like, making fun of her and tearing her apart, and I was like... I was telling Jay there needs to be more cool people. Because
people
it's
like
easy
normal.
to, like... Because there are normal trans people. It's like there's weirdos in every group. There's weird, creepy Hispanic people. There's weird, like, overly bubbly
and
white
you know what?
women.
Yeah, and there was always that kid, the gay kid, who was always the martyr. When I was in high school, it was always like a sissy bottom who was on the dance team and wore leggings. And he would, like, go swish around school and people would shit all over him. But you're secretly like, thank God you exist so you can take the heat off of me because I'm not ready to take the heat yet. So thinking about people like that kid in my high school, like Dylan, who are willing to put themselves forward, even if it's not pretty or, I mean... Dylan's fine, but I'm just saying, like, even if there's bumps along the way, if they're not as, like, seamless as they could be, they're just really putting their self forward, and it's a good thing because other people who aren't ready for that, like me, I mean, I'm doing it right now, but they're able to see someone else doing it, and then they feel better. Mm-hmm. It's a good thing, I think. And if they're seeing that this person isn't perfect, it's true. Like, we're all human. Yeah. And it's okay. Trans people are human. They're not always going to be graceful or know all the right answers.
Well, I think, too, if you're that quick to attack somebody like that, I I mean, I was telling Jay too, I'm not interested in being around a transphobic person either. Like, those videos made me angry. I was like, you're just attacking this poor person. Like, I don't understand.
That has, like, nothing to do with you.
Well, I think too, a lot of our social media and the videos that get likes are like, I don't think we're that different from, like, cavemen back in the day. Like, people would go watch the Coliseum. Like, people like violence and anger and
ripping people apart.
Mm-hmm. So I think that's a little bit of what's going on as well too. So it's easy for them, and it's still kind of socially acceptable to be doing that.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I tell Jay too, I think in the future, I mean, we've already made strides with it, especially in our country, but I feel like kind of like similar to the civil rights movements. Like, yeah, there is still tons of racism in the country, but we've come a long way. We still have a ways to go. But I think people will look back on trans people and be like, oh, remember they were treated so badly. Like, I think it's going to be different. I don't know if I'm making sense, but I feel
I get it.
Yeah.
It's true. And it's also kind of, in a way, if you're looking at the bright side, it's kind of fun that it's not perfect yet, because I get to be like a pioneer.
And you get to be a part of it and like a voice.
Yeah.
Which is fun, especially as a comic and a singer and
whatever.
A podcaster and a...
Yeah. Multi-hyphenate.
Yeah. But I think that's exciting.
Yeah.
But it's sad, like... I hope you don't mind me saying. I feel like Jay hasn't... People don't think of it from all sides where... And I guess I haven't always thought of it too until I met Jay, where she's sort of like missed out on big like human experiences because she was scared to be herself. And I was talking to my parents. They like brought up randomly some like older couple... I don't know if they were famous or somebody we know. I don't think it matters. But they were just saying that this guy, like, raised a family, and he was gay with his wife, and then he left. And my dad was like, that's so selfish. He should have just been himself. And which I sort of, like, agree with, you know? Like, I feel like I was sort of let on my last few months, and my ex wasn't gay. So, but for, like, a lifetime to be with... Well, we don't know. No, I'm just kidding. But, like, I was, like... I kind of agree with my dad, but I also understand why it's so difficult to not be yourself in that situation. But I think that's why it's like you're forcing this person to be selfish because they feel like they're backed into a wall.
Yeah.
So it makes me angry when, like, I wasn't angry at my dad, but I was also like, nobody is making it easy for people to be themselves, because I feel like it's easy for people to point fingers at him and be like, oh, that's so selfish of you to have this family and like lie to this poor woman.
It's easy to say that in hindsight, but when people were being homophobic toward him and he felt like he had to hide, then where were you? You know?
Yeah. So I think like for you, it's like I feel bad when it's like you can't or you haven't let yourself do certain things because you were like, oh, I didn't deserve this, or
it wasn't safe a lot of the time.
Yeah.
I do feel like I have a lot of catching up to do personally as a human. There's a lot of like milestones that I haven't. I mean, I just started dating like 2 years ago, and I'm 27. Like, that's pretty wild. I'm learning a lot pretty like relatively late. I'm lucky that I started transitioning at 26. Some people start transitioning at 56, and you're like, damn. Like, but think about also like the men who like trans women. There's like no...
Oh, they can't come...
There's no support for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're trans women. I mean, there's not a lot of support for them. There's not trans bars or anywhere for you to just like meet people. Like, I don't know if someone is into trans people unless like I don't know. There's like no forum for that. Mm-hmm. It's cool if you're like a straight man or a straight woman, you're just walking around and pretty much everybody is kind of in that camp and you can just meet people and see if you like vibe. But Or if you're gay, you can go to gay bars and like find people to hook up with. The best I can do is like apps maybe. And then but at least I have like other trans women who understand what I'm going through. Guys who like trans women have like nothing. There isn't even a name for what that is.
That feeling of being alone too is what kills people. Like if you have nobody, that feeling will crush people. That's what
it's dangerous.
Causes people to like end their lives
or be violent, like act out. It's a dangerous kind of isolation is dangerous.
It's so dangerous. It makes people insane. Being like we're very social people, and I feel like it's sad that I like have such strong beliefs about being an American too, where people are like, I'm an American. I'm like, no, you're not. You're an asshole. But like, I feel like it's like, well, we do have our right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and it like pisses me off that I feel like you haven't really had a real pursuit of happiness, and you're still. Jay, told me literally like a year ago that she was trans, and from that point she started like going on her journey of being trans, and it's like, but then sometimes there are these roadblocks where, for most of life she's been told that she was wrong about how she was like thinking, and it's like it makes it so hard for her to find that happiness, and it makes me like angry, I think, because you have these roadblocks that other like a straight like a cisgender person wouldn't have.
No.
And it's not fair, and as a person you should just be able to be happy. I think everyone should be able to pursue their own happiness as long as they're not hurting anyone else.
Yeah, and I think about this. I don't know. I've thought about like why isn't it fair, but sometimes I'm not even sure how to put it all in my brain. I'm like, we come from a certain society that like lifts up certain people and kind of neglects others. So I would be considered like a casualty of
But
the
I don't
system.
think it should be like that. Maybe I'm just too much of an optimist, but I think too, like, I don't know. I just, like I said, I really feel like as an American, and I feel grateful too, because me and Jay were talking about, we both like get very angry about what's going on in other countries, like with the Taliban not letting women do things. And it's like, that creates a lot of anxiety in me, because I'm like, the way I talk and I'm on stage and the way I intervene, like if I see something bad happening, I'm like, hey, you can't do that. Like, I've yelled at grown men, and it's like, I can do that in this country, but if I was in another country, I'd be dead already.
Yeah.
Or tortured, and it's like, it makes me sick to my stomach when these women are losing their rights. So it's like, I just feel like as an American, it's like I have all this power that I didn't really know, and it's like I should be able to use that, and I think you should too.
Yeah.
Especially in New York. Like, you have a lot of freedom, and you have a very unique voice.
I guess that's the best I can do. I'm trying to just like figure it out. That's the thing too. It's like when you feel like you want to use your voice or whatever, I also don't necessarily know what to say.
Yeah, and but you're learning. I think that's part of like this podcast and pursuing comedy.
Yep.
But
sometimes it's like pressure. I'm also just like chilling, like straight, like a regular Joe Schmo doesn't have to think about his life that deeply. He doesn't have to think about speaking for anyone. He's just like vibing.
Yeah, but that's not like you or me. Like, I get angry sometimes, and then it's on my wall. I have all these affirmations on my wall. I don't know where it is. Is it the one? Did I take it down? I took some of it down. I used to have one on my wall that was like, this is the hand you've been dealt, just use it.
Yeah.
Because I was like, what am I gonna do? Throw myself a pity party? For like, yeah, like what am I gonna, it's like I'm gonna complain about being raped all the time, and like, yeah, that sucks. It's not good, and I'm not like negating anything about like how traumatic that is, but, or like I'm gonna be angry. I used to hate being a girl, and it's like there's a lot of beautiful things about being a woman, and I think there's a lot of beautiful things about being a trans woman, and people don't know it yet, or they're just scared or whatever. But I think that, you should embrace that.
Yeah, it's fun being trans. I mean, I get to play with like the lines across. Like I posted a story where I was at that office party. I'm like clearly lit, and there's other girls that were just like laughing, and my Adam's apple is not small, but
Jay.
I was like, I look cute and I have an Adam's apple, and that's just how it is. And I don't need to chop it off and like ruin my voice. I can just like exist. And I don't think people I like that I can kind of play with those rules, cuz people don't think like pretty girl and Adam's apple go together. But they look at me and they're like, it still doesn't. Oh.
No.
But I don't know. I think it's fun to kind of just like test the limits a little bit. Because this is what I am, and I don't have to like... it's also pressure thinking that I have to be as girly woman on incognito, like hide in femininity. Like I am also just like coming from being a fully blown man. Like if I'm not like absolutely passable yet, that's okay. Mm-hmm. If you can tell that I'm trans, that's okay. Like whatever, that's just where I'm at. I am trans. I don't need to be ashamed that you can tell.
I get angry. The only times I've gotten mad at people, it's just falling apart. This happens constantly. Whatever. The only times I get frustrated with people is when they're not being themselves, or they're trying to be something different. And I'm like, I can sense that insecurity or like trying to be something else. And I've always thought that was very dangerous. I hate wrapping it up here, but I do have to go.
Oh.
But we should talk about this more. And if you guys have any questions, you should please DM us, or I'll try to find a way that they can maybe write to us on Spotify, I think. So we're figuring it out. We're still a new podcast.
But we have Instagrams. My Instagram is @_JAYELLIOT J Elliott.
And mine is @EspiRivdenera, ESPIRIVADENEIRA.
If we get questions, we'll put them. We'll do a Q&A. That's fun.
Yeah, we'll just have it here and we'll talk.
Yeah.
All right. Bye.
Bye.